Alright, welcome back. And as stated at the end of the last episode, as stated at the end of the last video, I said I was going to go ahead and grab some healing items, so I went ahead and grabbed 99 health bombs, 99 magic teas, and then as many onion soups as I could, which turned out to be like 15 or so. You'll notice that was all the gold we had, but that is fine. That is money well spent, if you ask me, because we should have a shot at surviving Uzair's tomb now. And I don't mean that lightly. Uzair's tomb is not an easy place. Uzair's tomb is actually a pretty savage place to be. It's not an easy dungeon at all. The enemies that spawn here are generally speaking pretty tough. And the worst part is you're stuck with Beretta, who is in general a pretty damn bad character. Now, we're using Spark. Hopefully we don't have to use Spark the entire time, but there is a very good reason why we're starting out with Spark at least. Alright, so we're 5 seconds in and already random has died, so you can see these onion soups, most likely they're not going to last us the entire time. Anyways, we grab the small key. Once we have that... Alright, and another fight. Right. Sorry, as I was saying, we will have to be a little bit careful of what we're doing, because it's not always as easy as it seems. Chrysalis Twister luckily does very good damage to most of the enemies in this area, but it only affects snakes or serpentine enemies. So for example, in this one, don't expect, like, imagine that the small spiders hadn't all escaped. You'd actually have some trouble with Chrysalis Twister, because it wouldn't... Okay, as you can see, Random's already dead a second time. So, I wasn't kidding when I said that that these onion soups are probably not going to last us too long. And that's Random with pretty insane gear. Like, he has... I mean, I guess the Hat of Persuasion isn't the best gear ever, but nothing's going to fix that. He does have the plate armor, which is pretty good. I guess we could equip him with the stamina shoes, but trust me when I say that that would not make the big difference. So it's the same deal here. Chrysalis Twister is a very good skill, but it's not going to affect the spider at all. This is giving us free full heals for Genidia, which is cool. And this is a surprise encounter, which means that we can just do this. Alright. We open up this chest, and I don't think any of these have anything, but it was worth checking. Alright, so we find our first other healing item, namely a Necro Tear, which is an insanely useful item to just get. And here's also another nice thing with counters. Since these enemies escape after every hit, the fact that Random is going to counter is going to let me kill them more easily. Now, as you can see, we lost 2 characters in this fight, so... yeah, we're definitely not off to a good start. Now, it's pretty normal that this happens a lot initially, because our characters have pretty low resistance still, they're pretty low level still. Once you actually get a couple good hits, slash kills in, as long as you keep them topped up HP wise, we should actually be fine. Now, there's 2 major paths in Uzair's tomb. The other one is downstairs there. We're gonna start by going up first. And going up will put us here, and then we have all these little things on the side. Spark, meanwhile, is going to try and find us as many items as he possibly can, obviously. And there's one specific item that we're looking for, namely Bromium. Once we find Bromium, we can actually decide whether or not we want to keep Spark as the main fighter or not. But we cannot swap out... Oh my god. Yeah, one entangle on Spark always kills him. That's the annoying part. Well, right now anyways. We can see, talk... That's gonna give him extra HP, but don't ask me how much that's gonna affect. This one is probably the most annoying encounter of them all, because I mean, we can attack. I guess Spark could defend, but obviously that makes him less useful. And as you can see, if they crit him, it's basically going to be the same deal. But I suppose this did work. So for Sarah, we're gonna go with probably maybe some extra MP this time around. Alright, so the secret room in this place is right here. I actually think anywhere on this wall works. I think this works, I think this works, I think this works. And then you have the spider here that you cannot interact with, sadly. And I believe it's the same deal here, there's nothing you can interact with. Now we're already back up to 1,400 gold, but we cannot leave this place, because as soon as we try to leave, Beretta is going to get angry that we abandoned her, blah blah blah. And that's gonna seal off the tomb, and presumably, if what Random said at the beginning is to be believed, we technically killed her at that point. Which is obviously not what we're trying to do, so let's not do that. Now keep in mind, thanks to the equipment we chose for Sarah, she's actually immune to entanglement. So ideally she's the one that gets hit by the attack. Alright, so now we're here, and the important part here is that there's actually a couple of things that we have to do. And they're not necessarily all that intuitive. We have to visit various parts of this dungeon in a certain order. Now the first thing you'll want to do is you want to head down here and get the Niram shield. Now, if you progress through the rest of the dungeon first, you'll probably flip a switch that will disable that. And lock you out of that little section. Which is, you know, obviously annoying because you get locked out of the Niram shield and you will never be able to actually complete that. Now you can just go back and unflip the switch again, but realistically speaking, most people won't do that. Because most people won't even realize that that's why it's locked. They'll start looking for a different switch and they'll realize, oh wait, there is none. I think the first time I played, the way that I considered to check was because of the Yak place. I sort of realized, like, if Indy pulls that trick once, then there's a pretty good chance that he'll do it again. Alright. So, these two will actually grow mad at times, and they'll start attacking each other, which is great, because otherwise this is a pretty tough fight. The only thing that it doesn't make sense is that if you leave them be, and you kill one of them, the other one is still going to be mad, but he's going to be mad at himself. For some reason. This is easily the most dangerous fight, because there's a lot of these snakes. And the fact that Sarah is tanking this like a boss doesn't really change the fact that there's a lot of snakes here. Now, she does kill them, which is good. So we're fine for now. And you'll see, like, we're slowly managing to progress through these fights without too much of an issue. In general, Sarah is taking so little damage, and she is immune to entanglement. But we are going to lose characters if we... For example, now, Beretta cannot defend because she's stuck in her entanglement. That is a quick way that you could lose a character because she simply is unable to defend herself. Alright, so we're gonna quickly use these. Now, those things heal 25% of your HP flat, so there's no way to improve the amount that it heals. Which means we're gonna run out at some point. And it will probably not take too long before we run out of those. Gotta keep in mind, it's impossible to really bring more healing than we did, but this place in general is just a very, very, very difficult dungeon. I think this is another secret room here, and I think those are the only two secret rooms there are in this place. So I think there's that. We've officially done that. There's a safe bunny right here, which is good. And then this guy is called Indy Jones. I don't think there's anything else to him. I did not mean to try and escape, but I suppose it worked out somewhat. Thanks to the counter. And the second counter, and the miss. So, a lot of things went right there. And we actually got the Monstruor scales, which is pretty good to have, because those are good scales. Alright, so we're gonna go up here, which I think just contains 2 chests. Yep. Not the best chests either, but you know. I'm making mental note of the fact that we still have not gotten Bromium. So we do have to reset until we find Bromium. We cannot leave if we don't find Bromium. It really is that simple. We cannot leave this dungeon if we have not found Bromium yet. So this one, a little bit difficult. Sarah does AoE nicely, so it's fine. But obviously at some point, like, we're probably gonna run out of luck on that front. I actually don't know if these things can be blinded. They can, apparently. Alright, and then we continue. So there's going to be a switch there, but this switch doesn't actually do anything. Alright, that crit was just... Bro, okay. It's a little bit dumb, but sure. This switch is broken, so you can't move it, and over here is the Earth Shield, which, you know, doesn't actually do anything special, so... It can go on a long list of equipments that we have found that we are never going to be using, but, you know... Most of those gears that we find that we never use does end up being decent enough cell gear. So there's that. Alright, attack up is a decent skill. Like, it's not insane, but it is a decently usable skill. Then we're going to grab this. We're going to go all the way over here. Every time it shows up, I'm thinking, yes, we finally found it, but so far... Like, we really need that bromium. We cannot continue in this place without finding the bromium. So, it could be that this is going to be a very long grind. It does not matter. I also don't know if you can find it here. It's possible it's only findable in the actual boss room. Although I don't think that's the case. I think you can find it anywhere in the dungeon. Anyways, this is why we have Spark on Observant anyways, so... There's not much else to it, we just have to find it. Like... Getting surprised against 4 of these is definitely not the situation you want to be in. Darkness box. It's not bromium. Still no bromium. So, obviously, finding bromium can be incredibly annoying, because we're looking for an item, one specific item out of the entire loot pool, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the lowest chances to get bromium in general to begin with. So, we're definitely, like, at negative odds here. Now, I think we can just egress to the start of this dungeon, which at least skips that part. Like, we don't have to do the entire walk back. Another darkness box. Now, note, random can counter just fine while he's stunned, so counter hits are fine, you just can't act. Alright, so now that we've flipped the switch, that means we can continue. We can continue by heading to the right. You'll notice that over here, the little pathway is now available, where the gate was before. So we're gonna go up. There's a gate there, but you can't unlock it, but it doesn't matter because you can approach it from this side. Get the Shadow Glove, and that's actually what we've been looking for. It's gonna give random first strike. So now, no matter what happens, random is actually going to go first. Which, with the Thunder Sword, kind of becomes one of the more OP strategies. Because it means that he can numb one enemy before that the fight has actually started. Or at least he has a good chance to. Now, meanwhile, we still have not gotten ourselves a bromium, which means we're stuck in this dungeon for a while. Now, this thing will give you a hint where to go, but really it's just enter there. And yeah, here we are. We are just We're just running around here until Spark feels like finding us a Bromium. Mind you, this can take years. Like, it's literally RNG. You have to find something, and it has to be the item that we're looking for. So, I'm not even gonna pretend that this is anything but extreme RNG once again. Just like with the Thunder Sword. Every single time that you see that he found something, it could be that we finally found the Bromium, but it can just as well be anything else. If anything, at least this is giving us a good amount of Python skins that we can sell, but yeah. Nope. I was hopeful because I don't know, that felt right. Also, we get 60 gold for every single one of these fights that we complete. So, these Pythons drop 30 gold per Python. Making this an insanely useful gold farm too. But obviously we're not looking for gold here, we're looking for Bromium. Which still is not dropping, so we're still... Spark, you're killing me here, bro. Still no freaking Bromium. I think this one always surprises you and always triggers, but, you know. So that actually dropped us really good gold. That's an encounter that we probably could get more often. You can walk on this, but no encounter here? Okay. Nothing here, so... Yeah, now we're officially stuck just walking around until we find that Bromium. Technically, we could kill the boss first, but that really wouldn't make sense. Like, why would I fight the boss if I'm stuck farming beforehand? Except, I suppose, to prove that it's possible, but... I mean... This is just poor RNG, as always. Necro tier, nope. Very good item, don't get me wrong, but not what we're looking for. Also, keep in mind, every single slime that we find here could technically be one free full heal for Canidia or one bonus HP for Canidia. So, in theory, you can farm here until Canidia is, like, maxed out on HP. That is technically possible. But obviously this farming is incredibly boring. Also, definitely not what we're here for. But, yeah, I mean... Every time I'm so hopeful. He finds something, but it's not the right item. And the issue is that finding the Bromium is actually like... I'm not even gonna say it's like incredibly mandatory, but... It usually doesn't take this long. I actually don't know if Sarah can cast Death on these snakes. It would admittedly be pretty funny if this worked on them, but I don't think it does. Oh, well, there you go. Yes, it does. Right, so I'm gonna go back out here because I get the feeling that out here you have a chance for those 5 snakes to spawn, and out there, in there, it feels like you don't. And I would like for that encounter to be the one that I encountered, to have that encounter, because at the very least, this encounter truly gives you XP. And sure, it also kills random once in a while, but that's fine. We can live with that. That's very nice, Spark. Love that you find yet another darkness box, but it's not what we're looking for. So, this skill of Sparks actually allows him to go ahead and heal himself. It's only himself, though, which is kind of selfish. But, you know, in all seriousness, it's only on himself. I would just like to point out that this run has been incredibly cursed when it comes to RNG. Like, plenty of darkness boxes, though. I don't even know what those do. I think they're an attack knight. I think... Oh, Giga Scorpion Scales. Right, I kind of forgot that you can find those as well. Because we hadn't found any yet. Also, fun fact, you can actually... You don't have to put Sarah in the party. Nope. Oof, this one's gonna suck. Okay, it's fine. They chose the right target. I don't know why Sarah is suddenly so bulky. What does she even have? Lady Versina, the Rafflesia coat. Yeah, okay, I can see why she's bulky, I guess. You'll also notice, if you looked, I did buy the bracelet. The Indanera special bracelet that I mentioned. I did buy it, because you never know. Because for the boss, I'm definitely gonna swap random onto the Lady Bersina's bracelet. Oh my lord, we found it! Jesus. Bromium. There we go. Alright. So now that we have the Bromium, we can go ahead and save. We can go ahead and full heal everyone. Not the most important thing to do that entirely. Lady Bersina's bracelet. Wait. Oh, Sarah can equip the Lunk Ring as well. I actually didn't know that, but I like it. Alright, there we go. Magic Tea on everyone. Let's save, and let's go, go, go. Also, Lady Bersina's bracelet is just a really good defensive gear, but okay. Alright. Mr. Uzair. Alright, so this guy's basically gonna whine about the fact that we want his thing. His relic, I guess. So, I believe you might have noticed the main issue that we will have throughout this, this run is that Uzair is lovingly immune to any form of fire attack. I'm not gonna waste anything. I guess I can cure Beretta's poisoning. Alright, so we're starting to sort of see... We're starting to run into the issue here. Uzair's little goons are actually pretty damn strong, is the issue. Now, we can use the Indenera potion here, which is gonna fully heal her. But now she's frightened, which really doesn't help. We can go ahead and cast Defense up. Now we're cold. That doesn't help either. We can actually use one of our 2 Necrotears on Beretta, because I feel like Beretta is worth reviving. But obviously Sarah is the other character that you should always be reviving, so there's that. So we're gonna crosscut, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna use Go 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 again. Alright, so Go 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 actually stays when you die, so that's there. That's something that we now know. I think we can try Mist Pebbles. I'm not sure if you can actually paralyze Uzair. I don't think so, but you never know. Let's go ahead and heal Beretta up to full. I don't know how obvious it was, but this fight really is not easy. Like, it's not the hardest fight in the world either, but in general, keeping your characters alive in this fight is a genuine challenge at times. As you can tell, Random is currently struggling to deal any damage whatsoever, which is assuming that he even hits. Random just died, which also really does not help with the whole he should be dealing damage thing. We can throw it Stick of Dynamite, we can normal attack with Spark, because that does deal pretty good damage, and this deals about 400 damage. Right, so I think it's pretty clear what the general methodology here is. We kind of just go through the motions of heal Spark, normal attack with Spark, attack with Beretta occasionally, but sometimes you'll get outsped. Also, I think this is our last... No, we have one more method of revival, but then after this one, that's it. There's no more revival methods. There's no more insane tricks that we can use to make sure that characters get a turn. After this, that's actually it. That's completely it. So we have crosscut here, we have heal on herself, and we can use a health balm with Beretta on herself. Beretta didn't make it. What a pity. Alright, Holy Words. And Spark didn't make it. And now we are starting to be in trouble because we have one more revive. And a regular revive at that. We can give ourselves this. We can try and heal Spark. That was a really nice crit. If we win this, it's probably going to be because of that crit. Because I feel like this is going to be incredibly close. 300 damage was really nice too. we got the drop. So that's the thing I was scared of. You can complete this entire fight and not get the Moonshade Orb, and that would be awful. Because the Moonshade Orb is sort of what we're here for, you know? It's definitely like the item that we come here for, the Moonshade Orb. So this is the Uzair Cane. What it does, 251 Dark Power, MP plus 16, learn Clouds of Darkness. Does this make Beretta insanely useful? No, not at all. But, you know, whatever. So we're going to heal random, we're going to heal her, Spark. And I guess Spark or Gnidia, we can kind of keep either or in the party for a bit. It doesn't really matter. The thing with Beretta is you can actually use Perception, and she will look carefully at things. Don't ask me what that means. Alright, so once we're here, I'm not sure if we can aggress to the start. We can. Okay, good. Alright, so we've gotten Beretta, which means we've gotten the most important part of the game done. Now, I'm actually going to unequip Beretta entirely, because, as I said, she's not particularly useful. Clouds of Darkness is also not a skill that you particularly want her to have. We're going to equip Gnidia with the Moonshade Orb, the Giga Scorpion Scales, and I believe it's obvious that he is now a pretty darn decent tank. Like, that is kind of the point of what Gnidia is going to be able to do at some point. I'm trying to think of how many secret rooms we found. We found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's from 18 to 20. I mean, that's from 10 to 18. So the Poisonous Garden one. And then we found this one here. So we found the Poisonous Garden one. We found the one here, I'm pretty sure. I don't mind double checking, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we found this one. So this is number 18. So we found one up, like in the first map, up. One in the tree, so that's 2. The Poisonous Garden one, so that's 3. This one, so that's 4. Then the 3 that were inside each other, that is 7. 2 in Uzair's tomb. So far, that sounds right. So we haven't actually gone down here yet, but here we are. We're now doing that. We'll find Lamia here, but she's not hostile, so it's fine. We'll find an Indenera Tincture there, and if we continue up, we'll find a defense up. Now, I believe at the end of this, we will find Secret Room 17, and that means we found 23 secret rooms. 23 secret rooms, actually. I think the Uzair's tomb had 22 and 23. So that means we have now found all the secret rooms inside the marshlands. And we also found a replenishment of our stack of Necro Tears, because we did kind of waste them in the Uzair fight. Well, waste. We used them. We used them in the Uzair fight. Let me think though. I think I always say the maps before Xen I know by heart. I can navigate those pretty much blind. Everything from Xen onwards, well, from the swamps onward, is a little bit less by heart and a little bit more I have to think about this. Uzair's tomb is okay. I know that one because it's a pretty short dungeon in the end. It looks a little bit intimidating when you first do it. Like the first time you're probably entering it and thinking, wow, what is this? Tough enemies, blah, 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 blah. But once you get used to it, you make sure that Sarah has the anti-entanglement gear, that Random has the Thunder Sword. Things definitely get a lot easier. Particularly Lady Brasina's bracelet helps a lot. When it comes to ensuring that characters don't die and that characters counter, deal enough damage. Alright, Elven Hat is the only item that we'll get here. And now if we go to the right, we will get one more item. A shield, apparently. I didn't know it was a shield, but it's a shield, apparently. Alright, we probably shouldn't try to escape from the Lamias, because they will punish us for it. Alright, and once we've entered this map, it actually starts getting... Now, this is actually when you lose out on Beretta. If you haven't cleared the dungeon, and you get to this point, a little bit lower than this, you'll see soon enough. If you get to the point, like, tiny little bit further ahead, and you don't have Beretta, you will permanently lose out on Beretta. It will become impossible to recruit her, because the tomb will be closed. And presumably, canonically, I guess that means Beretta has died. So we get attacked here. We actually find Firefly Nectar, which is what that other dude buys. So if we run into him, I guess we can sell it to him, but it doesn't matter too much. These Lamias are obviously completely not worth our time at this point. The good news about the entire Uzair tomb is that you kind of leave it completely overpowered. Also, Chrysalid Twister just works on Lamias. I mean, that's a detail that I sometimes forget because you usually don't need it, but that is like a point. Now, I would like for you to evaluate how many of these things we just killed, right? And now I want you to keep that in mind. Just consider how many of them we just killed, and then carefully evaluate the following situation. So we open this chest in an Era Potion, sure. We continue down. Okay, now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 8, 11, 13. So there's 13 of them, and there's about 45 total, I'd say. I honestly think I could take them, but you know, whatever. Alright, so they're going to try and kill you. Ganidia is going to turn out to be able to talk. That actually is a recurring theme. And ho, they will accept us as god of the marshlands. Woo! Alright, so we're going to rest up here. And we can technically improve our gear here, but there's not much we can actually buy because we already have this. We have a better staff, or a cane, whatever. We have a better axe. The shield is not something we're using. The druid hat we can buy for later, but we're not going to be able to do much with it. And the alchemy hat is a nice hat that's going to be able to make us immune to a couple things. Now, then we have these elemental swords. You could buy them, but, you know, the thunder sword is just better. And there's another one of these. Like I said before, it's easier when you don't have the speeding on, but it's fine. We're not going to get a reward because we weren't fast enough, or we didn't hit it often enough. Alright, so we're going to buy the Wonder Eye artifact. Now this artifact is something you are meant to equip, and it is actually going to reduce your mana cost. So we're going to give Random the Luck Ring, and then we're going to save here. And now, in the video, you're not going to notice, but I'm going to do some quick time jumps to kind of save you the effort of having to watch it. But, actually, I mean, I don't really... Here's the first time jump should be right about now. There we go. And we're back. So here is the Orb of Ice, the Orb of Water, I suppose. That's going to give you that. So this is Secret Room 18, in case you forgot. If you exit from here, right, it's the one that you go up into. That'll put you in Secret Room 18. That'll give you the first of the elemental orbs. And the second elemental orb is in a different location. Not the easiest to find, but I will now do the second jump cut now. And you might already see it. We are in the middle of these millipuffs right now, but right over here, you'll see we found the Orb of Earth, which is the second orb, right? So now we have found both orbs that we were supposed to find, so we can go back to the tribe of Xalumalu Bamaha, whatever, right? So the third jump cut is now. And we're back. Okay. So, welcome back, and we're going to continue our journey from here on out. As I said, she can take you back to the marshlands. That's how I got back, in case you were wondering about that part. You can buy 5 totems here, and we can actually max out on onion soups. We can restock on this. We can max out the amount of salmon we have, and we can do that. Okay. So we now have a lot of items. We no longer have gold. That's fine. We can actually continue into Xen. And now there's 2 things. If you sleep at the inn, which I actually don't have the gold for, funnily enough. If we go ahead and sleep at the inn, we will get tasked with a new quest. So we're not actually going to do that yet. We're going to talk to her, and she's going to tell us that we need to find 3 flowers. Now these 3 flowers are the ones that I told you to pay attention to earlier. This guy is going to ask us to visit the circle. And we need 1,000 gold for every one. This one is going to ask us to find mithril and bromium. Now we already found the bromium, so that's good. But the mithril, we have not found that one yet. And that's kind of how you're supposed to do this, right? Right. So that's 2 quests we found. And this lady is kind of happy that Beretta succeeded in her quest. And this is Leanda. So, in case, like, if you like the throwback to Laxia's power, that is Leanda. You can, in fact, find her. Other than that, I don't think there's too much to do in Xen. We've received the quest to find the items. We've received the quest to go back into the swamp. So we're actually just going to go back into the swamp now. I did say that we would do that, which is why I did the jump cuts to the orbs, because it feels kind of ridiculous to go ahead and record all the trips back into Xen, all the trips back into the marshlands. I think recording the easiest way to get each of the flowers is, is enough. Now, keep in mind, you definitely should be fighting every single encounter you can here, because every encounter you fight is going to give you that little bit extra gold. Now I'm thinking about what to do, and I've actually decided to go ahead and unequip Genidia. You'll see why in a second. Well, unequipping him doesn't really matter. We're going to give the Uzair Cane, we're going to give Soyolikama, and we're going to give the Seed Pendant for now to Beretta. And we're actually going to enter the swamp again with those. Now, that means Beretta is actually going to join in on the combat again. She's going to be hitting enemies, as one does. Meanwhile, we are going to backtrack all the way to the initial map. I find it the easiest to go back to the first central map and then continue. But if you can find your way from here, that's totally up to you. The first flower we need to find is up here, so that's flower number 1 that we have found. If you then head to the right, over the bridges and down, you will rather quickly find the Geomancy Circle. You will rather quickly find the Geomancy Circle, as I was trying to say. You'll notice Spark is really starting to find items at a high pace. That's good. That's what we want. We kind of want him to find an item every single battle, but that's not particularly realistic. But, yeah. There shouldn't be too many fights where Spark doesn't find something. Also, we did not get the Water Sword earlier, so I just went ahead and grabbed it now. Alright, and then we'll actually just continue on to the next part. Last time we went south, now we're going to go back into the right side. And this is actually the flower that I keep forgetting, where you find it. I don't think it's a particularly hidden flower or anything. I don't think it's more hidden than the others. It's just the one that I have the most trouble knowing by heart where it's located. It's not here. There we go. Alright, I remembered correctly, so that does save me a lot of time. We're gonna collect the third flower, and we already have seen the last flower as well. That's kind of why I said keep note of these flowers when I was exploring this initially. It does severely cut down on the track back if you already know where to go. And the important part is, if you don't leave the map from the north, your egress location will be the point where you entered from. Which means the egress location for here is currently all the way at the bottom. So once we egress, we will just be back at the tribe of Xolu, whatever. We'll be back there. Rather than being teleported to the start of the map. Now, I can't help but notice that I never collected the item that's over there. Also, I'm not sure what Indenera truffles do. Worth about 500 gold. Ah, right. This actually lets you see whether a shop is honest or not, because it tells you how much it's worth, right? So if you go to a shop and the shop offers you less, that means the shop does not have ideal market prices. Because yes, shops in this game sell stuff at different prices. Alright, so once we've gone there, we can go back down. And basically, it is just go all the way down. I mean, really, it's just go back the same way that we came, right? Except this time, you're going to go further to the right. No? Huh? Right, it's up here. You're gonna head further to the right, and we're gonna find... No, we're not. Right. It's on the next map. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. It's down here on the bridges, up, left, down. It's on the same map as a tomb. That's what it was. So we continue down, and once you go down all the way, you'll see this little bridge, you'll see another little bridge. We continue all the way to the right. There's nothing here, right? No. And then once we go down to the bottom, we will find the last flower on the left here. The Botinacia Drulea, or whatever it's called. We're gonna egress out of here, and you'll see we're back at the Lamia place, which is obviously where we wanted to be. Alright, so now that that quest is complete, we can actually go back to the botanist here. And she's going to be incredibly grateful that we actually found all of these things. That's going to give us the pearl shield. Now, we're not going to use the pearl shield. We might later on, I'm not sure. It depends on how much trouble we're in, I suppose. Alright, so from now on, Sarah will get beneficial effects depending on the weather. So, I'm not sure what exactly the various bonuses are. But, depending on the weather, she will get a buff, a debuff, you know, that stuff. Now, I'm actually going to go back to the tribe, because I don't know where the weapon shop in Xen is, and I just... Alright, it's at the bottom, of course. Alright, so we're back down here, and we're actually going to start selling some stuff. So, and as I said, you can actually check whether this is a honest shop. It's 333 gold, so, you know, you could be like, okay, well, I don't think that that's a fair price. You can go down, I believe. Yep, right here. Enter this shop. Weapons, doesn't really matter. We're going to go up, and we're going to see, okay, 384. It's a little bit better. It's a little bit better, but it's probably still not the location that you want to be buying your stuff at. It's still pretty cheap. Also, we are definitely going to need 2 of these. At least 2 of these. So we can't forget that, but that's for later. I think you can actually leave. Yep, you can leave. So, what I want to know right now is, we're going to go back to the guild. Alright, so we can learn 3 spells here. We can learn a healing spell, we can learn a damaging spell, or we can learn a corroding spell. Right? So, the healing spell is called Marshland's Heal. The other spell is called Soil Typhoon, and the third spell is called Swamp Corrosion. Now, the question is, which of those is the better spell? I honestly don't know, but Sarah has, what was I saying? Right, Sarah definitely has enough damaging spells right now that we don't really need to worry about this. Now, I'm actually going to go ahead and settle for that shop down here. 384 is a pretty decent rate. And also, it's the best shop that you're going to find around here. Because the next one is probably like St. Cleona. And I need the money now. So we'll see. Okay, 384 gold for that. But we can also sell all these power claws. We can sell the earth sword. We're never going to use it. The water sword. We're never going to use it. The brass fist. We can sell that. The elemental rod. We can sell that. The pearl shield. I wouldn't sell that one. The python skins. All but one of the python skins can be sold because we only need one. Same with the monster scales. Same with the giga scales here. Having 3 of them is fine. We don't. Also, you could sell that if you wanted to. I don't want to, but you could. All right. So. For Sarah, I would say it's probably best to just go for the healing spell. For Beretta, I kind of want to say the same thing. I feel like healing spells are stuff that we have much less of, whilst Sarah has plenty of attacking options. Actually, no. For Sarah, I'm going to go with Swamp Corrosion. For Beretta, I'm going to go for Marshland's Heal. So, she now knows how to heal. 120 HP. Not the most, not the least, you know. Swamp Corrosion inflicts poison, weaken, bleeding, venom, and disease, which is why I remembered that at the last moment. That is definitely a better healing spell than the one, a better spell than another healing spell for her. As for this one, she will actually give you a couple items. Cures blinded, sleeping, mute, cures a lot of stuff. The Druid hat, as I said earlier, increases stuff. This is nice if there's ever a spell check. This is good for fairy spells, even though I don't think we'll ever use it. And we can buy 31 of these eaters because they increase both HP and defense. Circle of Meditation inflicts Mind Up level 2, which means we actually bought that potion for nothing because we just got a skill that does it on its own. But you know. Alright. So we've basically done everything there is to do in this section. I'm honestly just going to leave it off here because the next... Well, actually, I'm going to show you how to do it. How to start the next section, but then that's going to be all for today. We're going to go here, we're going to sleep, and during the night, our poor Gnidia is going to get stolen from us, meaning when we wake up, Gnidia is not here. We need to find Gnidia, and I guess we'll make it all the way up to the dungeon before we leave it off for today. Save here once again, go down, go to the right, go into this little building. Sail, 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 sail. And here we are. Yay! And this is where we're going to find Gnidia. And we're just going to do the first fight here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And this is where we're going to find Gnidia. So we're going to leave it off for here for today. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully this guide is being useful. We've currently found all the secret rooms that there is to find. We found every single item there is to find, except for the platinum sword. We found the bromium, so we're on track for everything that we need to do. So we'll continue this next time.